Welcome to 5 Good Minutes.
You're listening to today's inspirational message on the book of 2 Thessalonians
With Dan Irvin.
Well, there are a few places in the Bible that as we read, as we uncover them, they might cause us to stop and to stumble and to say, whoa, that's a little intense. That's some language that I didn't expect. Maybe we gloss over them because there's just a little discomfort level as we read. I don't know if you've ever read the book of Revelation or seen verses pulled out and put in different places. Taken out of context, some of those verses can be used to scare and to frighten intentionally. Some people might try to do that. But I think as we look deeper in these passages, and we'll look at one today, we can see hope. We can see the love of God even in the middle of a difficult passage, or perhaps difficult to understand. So I want to look at verses 8 and 9 today in chapter 1 of 2 Thessalonians. Paul writes, "He will punish those who do not know God and do not obey the gospel of our Lord Jesus. They will be punished with everlasting destruction and shut out from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his might." That's uncomfortable. In an age that we live in that promotes, okay, everyone's invited, there's nothing that's absolutely, true. These verses might sound harsh, maybe even a little offensive. And here's the reality of it. I think it forces us to ask a question. What kind of God could say this? What kind of God could do this? And the answer is a holy God, a just God, not a God who is moldable or able to fit into our preferences, but a God who will not be trivialized or made small. I think we can imagine God with his judgment as a God that is losing his temper, that is ready to throw a lightning bolt down at any misstep. I know when I was younger, when I was little, as a kid, you're worried about going to the principal's office. You're worried about that moment of getting caught, getting in trouble, doing something wrong, and you're thinking worst case scenario. Paul here, he's not writing about God having an angry outburst, but he's describing a settled, just, holy reaction of a God whose presence is pure, good, loving. Notice what Paul says is the essence of this judgment. It's not fire, it's not torment, but it's exclusion. He writes, they will be shut out from the presence of the Lord. I think in many ways that's what makes eternal separation hell. Not that God is too present, but that he's not present at all. We were made for his presence, to know him, to walk with him, to hear his voice, to enjoy the things that he enjoys. And to be separated from that, well, that's to lose everything. It's why in the Genesis account that Adam and Eve, after they rebelled from God, they hid from God. They weren't simply just breaking rules. They were in broken relationship from God. They were retreating from the very presence that gave them life. As Jesus was on the cross, as darkness fell, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" This was the spiritual reality that the Son of God, the one who had always done everything right, suddenly cast out, experiences what Paul described here in 2 Thessalonians, being shut out from the presence of the Lord. Why did Jesus have to experience this? So that we never would have to be. Jesus absorbed the absence so that we could receive the welcome. He was excluded so that we could be brought in. He endured wrath so that we could know embrace. Yes, the wrath of God is real, but so is the mercy that shields you from it, that absorbed it for us if you put your faith and trust in Jesus? Does your view of God hold both of these things together, his justice and his mercy? Or are you tempted to emphasize maybe one or the other? You see, a God without wrath is powerless to deal with evil, but a God without mercy is unbearable to be around. But a God who is both just and merciful, that is the message of the cross. That is the message of Christianity, and that's the God that we can give our lives to. So the invitation is to walk into that light, to walk into that presence, because through Jesus, that door is always open, and we are always welcomed in to the loving embrace of God the Father.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.